The tourism trends shift to proximity tourism and local discoveries, and thereby thematic routes may allow a destination to open up from a different angle and welcome the locals and visitors to enjoy this destination with completely different perspective. In our case, the perspective of the route of ceramics. Today we are having very many interesting presentations which would showcase the product development based on the route of ceramics, connected with the route of ceramics, and also developing the territory. I have to say that I'm very happy that we are having this webinar after the lunch break, because as we will be speaking a lot about food, wine, and arts, it's always better to speak with a full stomach after a nice meal. Otherwise, we might get hungry. So without further delay, I would like to present you our next speaker, which is the Professor Flaviano Celaski, who will be speaking about how to turn a space into an attractive place. An architect, a designer, and a consultant, Professor Celaski is a full professor of industrial design at the University of Bologna. So please, Professor Celaski, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. This is a panoramic view of the hills around Faenza. It's a great pleasure and an honor to offer your attention some elements of reflection around the concept of sustainable and cultural tourism. My job for 25 years is to study the phenomena of innovation in services, processes, industrial products. For 15 years, I have been dealing in particular with cultural and creative industries, and I have the honor of chairing the regional cluster that brings together companies and research entities that deal with these issues. I want to bring these three issues to your attention. The 7 keywords in cultural and sustainable tourism, the change taking place, and the trends in people's tourist movement. On the first issue, I want to read you the simple definitions of these keywords that, in my opinion, define the factor that make up the concept of territory. The space is a physical topographic entity. It tells us where we are. The habitat is a biological and climatic entity. It tells us how life works in that space. The place is an anthropological entity. It describes the relationship between humans and the habitat. The genius loci is the vocational synthesis that a culture makes of a certain place. The destination is a location that we put in the desire to reach. It is a concept that will live in the future. It needs action to be achieved. The community is a group of people in relation to each other who recognize themselves as a citizen of a place. And only now, at the last, the territory is the red thread that binds each of these definitions together and that interprets them in an economic and cultural key compared in the present time. All these concepts live together simultaneously in a territory. Our customer culture tends to make us forget this stratification. The exercise we can do is to start from the end, from the concept of territory, and try to rebuild awareness of each of these passages. We have to ask ourselves the following question. Can the tourist offer we have built make us feel all this stratification? Our offer, does it allow you to orient yourself in space, where are you? Does it allow us to understand the ecosystem and the climate, how they act on the habitat? Do you help you to build a personal relationship with that space? Do you understand the vocation of that site? Have we been able to propose a dreamable destination? Can we put the target within a community of people? And the last, can we turn these tourists into a long-term value growth for that territory? So space, climate, nature, vocation, genius loci, desire, community, time, especially time. Are these the ingredients to build a cultural and sustainable tourist offer? The word time contains together both of concept of culture in holistic perception of all these factors, and that of sustainability in the sense of long-term product value. This image shows a wonderful composition of Faientine ceramics. Is a beautiful composition. The historical moment we are experiencing is characterized by these general currents of change: velocity to continuity, analogical to digital, individual to plural or collective, product to processes. To your left are the keywords that conditioned our lives until a few years ago. On your right are the words that are replacing these concepts. For example, we have always given so much importance to products, but today more than even people are interested in processes, more than the what are interested in how. And again, if we think about the need to visit as many places as possible in a week of vacation today, we must instead think about how to keep people connected with the place and so many different times in their everyday life. But in particular, if we talk about tourism, we have to deal with these very current issues. I travel to low travel, I touch to low touch, short time to a lot of time, have plenty of space to have a lack of space, free to control it and check it situations, adventurous to healthy and safe. In a few months, we have become a society made up of people who have very little chance of traveling and a lot of time to spend. We wanted to take risks, and now we put health integrity first. We could start to the adventure without reservation and with great freedom of movement. And today we must scrupulously plan and book everything we want to do. Here are some images of a beautiful and unique central square of Faenza. And now the trends. Now let's try to introduce some trends that condition and make our tourist design change today. This diagram shows a page from the book by American economist and researcher Pine and Gilmore, who had already developed this scale of consumer behavior emancipation. In 1999, it outlines all the steps we have seen so far, from the creation of the brand to the economy of experience. Pine and Gilmore have indicated to us with great preview ability that today we are in the phase of the transformation economy. That is, the subject, including the tourist, wants to be transformed by the services and the products he buys. This other image shows us the effort that the largest global digital operator is making to be present in analogical reality as well. So we all know that there is nothing physical if these things doesn't have a digital twin. That is, if it doesn't have an identity and visibility on the internet. But the image shows that the opposite is also true. There is nothing that can afford to live only in digital. Every digital experience must have an analogical presence in the real world. And every digital promise must be able to be lived in the real physical world. With this image, I want to introduce the need for those who plan tourism today to take great account of the fact that the tourist customer must be part of the value chain, must be treated as a partner, no longer just a customer. The same goes for our suppliers. Every link in the value chain, upstream must feel part of the chain with the customer and wants its visibility, traceability, presence. I call this process open system in analogy to the open innovation culture. Finally, we are in the data society and we have a large number of enabling technologies that are now within the reach of all organizations, even the smallest and least organized ones. Through these technologies, we can continuously collect information about tourists. This process starts from before the tourist arrive at the place, long after the end of his visit. This information can be managed as data and processed not only to better know and provide the tourist, but to analyze his data according to the data of many other subjects. These sets of elaborations produce value for us, but if we put this data in consortium, then an entire territory becomes very rich and able to make predictions and anticipation on behaviors. The anticipation of behaviors is, in the fact, the goal towards which any design effort in the tourism field must be oriented. Thank you very much for your attention, and we stay on touch if you like. Sorry, but it's impossible to stay with you in the conference, but we can stay on touch on this connection. Thank you very much.